Have a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Toki.MORI, the ghost living inside the machine, and I'm here to have a look at Fading Serenades. This is a 2D inventory management game with some Strand-like elements. Now, I kind of use that jokingly, but I actually think it's a very good phrase to describe some of the things that this game has going for it, and you'll see what I mean by Strand-like elements when we jump into the game. This game was developed and published by a solo independent developer named Bernie Wick. They have one previously published game on Steam called A Story About Birds, and it's another sort of top-down pixel art cozy game. It has similar vibes to this, not quite the same game, and it's much shorter. And they also have a couple of small experimental games on itch.io. Now, this game was released in October of last year, and I've had my eye on this for quite a while now, so I've actually been really excited to take a look at this. Now, jumping into the options menu, my first immediate criticism is that this game has 7 different language options. We have English, Dutch, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. But you may be asking yourself, where are those language options? I can't see them in this options menu. That's because they aren't in the options menu. They appear when you launch the game. And at first you might be thinking that's pretty good. It makes sense. You want to pick your language before you start the game so you can just jump right into the story without having to worry about that. And to you I say, that's what you think, except it happens every single time you launch the game, which it's a small thing. It's only one button press to get through it, but the fact that it happens every single time adds up. It starts to get really annoying because if I want to pick the language, I probably only need to pick it once, and maybe if I want to change it, I'd probably only change it once or twice, and I would go into the options menu for that. But the fact that it pops up every single time, and my answer is always the same. I'm only picking one language every time I launch the game. It just gets annoying over time. So that's my first minor criticism. I hope that gets changed soon, because it does get really annoying. Now, looking at the options that are here, we have 3 volume sliders, we have volume music effects, very good, we have full screen on or off. I will say, so when you take off full screen and put it into windowed mode, you can manually adjust the window size, which is okay, but I would prefer if they had some dedicated window size or resolution options, just because sometimes it gets annoying to have to adjust it every single time if you're not playing just in full screen. We have scan lines. It's not quite a CRT filter. It just kind of shaves the edges of the windows like you see here when I turn this on or off. And then it overlays these thin lines over the screen. So it's not quite a CRT filter. It doesn't have any pixel blending or chromatic aberration or like an actual scan line animation effect. It's just sort of these thin lines over the screen. I will say though, this game has pretty low resolution pixel art. You can see the pixels in this game are pretty big and blocky, and the actual shading is pretty simplistic. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the pixel art in this game looks beautiful, but I do think the way they did the scan lines in the game adds some really nice texture to the art. I think it looks really good. So even though it's not a proper CRT filter, I do really like playing with it on. And has pixel perfect mode for when you're adjusting the window size. It doesn't matter too much when we're full screen. But other than that, like I said, the only thing I would really hope to change is, first of all, the language options. Some dedicated window sizes, maybe add VSync as a treat, or at least some FPS limit options, but other than that, not too shabby. And you can change the keybinds. This game is playable with mouse and keyboard or with controller. I've mostly been playing it with controller, but it does still control pretty well with mouse and keyboard. There are just some mini games, you see what I mean when we play the game, but there are some mini games that I feel are slightly more comfortable on controller. Now, one thing that really annoys me is that I can't cancel out of the menu. Like, if I press B, I can't leave the menu. You have to scroll all the way down to the back button and then hit confirm, and you have to do that for all menus. So that really annoys me. I play so many games where that happens, and it's just such a minor thing you can do to have the B button cancel out of a menu. It's a quality of life thing that's really simple, but it annoys me every time I encounter it. Now, jumping into the game, I have about 4 hours in this game. I believe I'm nearing the end of the game. I'm going to try not to run into any story spoilers, and if I do, I'll probably cut it out of the video. But sources are telling me it's about 4 or 5 to 6-ish hours. I'm taking it pretty slowly, so I'll probably end up taking about 6 hours, but I think the average player is probably going to get there in around 4 to 5 hours. So it is a pretty short game, but it is pretty cheap and it is very high quality. Now, look at this game. Oh my god, the pixel art, even though it's very simple, it's quite beautiful. I love the pixel art in this game, especially some of the character sprites. I love the main character sprite. It's very, very simple, but I don't know, something about this particular artist, the pixel art in this game looks really, really good. We can jump down here to look at the cliff textures are really nice. Yeah, it's just an overall really, really nice looking game. Now, this game is set in the far sci-fi future. You are playing as a boy or a person. I don't know if they gendered this character yet. But you're playing as a kid who has an AI drone as a partner. And you've arrived on this island with very limited access to your future sci-fi technology. So there are still a few things, like the vending machines talk to you, but there aren't really... There isn't much AI stuff. There aren't any drones to deliver packages. So your job is in their stead to be the package delivery boy. Now, if we head on over to the post office... Whoop. If we head on over to the post office, this is the postmaster. I can look at the map. We're going to take a look at all of the people that have a task for us to do. This is the only map in the game. I think this is a very cool part of the game, is they sort of get you to remember. So I think with a game like this, where the entire point of the game is sort of navigating the landscape and trying to find the most efficient path between areas, I think it is really good that this is the only map that you can actually look at in the game. So you can't just stop anywhere you want and look at a map. You actually have to dedicate yourself to remembering which directions you have to go to get to which places and what obstacles are in the way, and to keep all that in mind as you're sort of traversing this little environment. Like I said, this is sort of a Strand-like game, and the game takes place across this vast, mostly, I don't want to say uninhabited, but mostly full of wildlife, sort of naturalistic environment. So there's going to be a lot of pathing and optimizing and traversing over dangerous obstacles. Now, once you've looked at the map, we can go and find the people that we need to talk to. So one of them was over here. His name is Mario. He is the mayor of this town. He has a task for us to do. If I go talk to him... Oh, I forgot! Okay, so you'll see in the top left-hand corner, there is time in this game. So if I enter a building, time changes. Or I guess not if I enter a building. If I enter and then leave, I believe. Yeah. So time changes whenever you enter a new screen or whenever you leave a building. And over time, the people will move around. It doesn't affect much for the most part. Whoops. It doesn't affect much for the most part. They just kind of move around the area to different spots. I don't think they move to different screens. I think that would be a cool thing for them to do. It might get annoying in the early game, but where I am, where I have pretty high energy, which I'll explain in a second, it's not too big of an issue. But we can talk to our friend Mario, he'll talk to us, and then we can say we have a delivery, which we don't, but we can go into our bag, which is where we keep things. And if we had a delivery for him, we would give it to him, and he would give us money. For now, we'll ask for a task. He's going to give us a parcel. This is for copper, so I have to remember where copper is and put that down. And then sometimes they'll have 2 or 3 items to give you, and you have to manage that. So this is, whoops, sorry. This is the main crux of the game, is inventory management. At the beginning of the game, you have a pretty restricted small bag. I've already upgraded it a few times, so it's not too big of an issue now, but it's very important to keep in mind early in the game when you're just starting out, is you have to choose what kinds of packages you take. You have to keep in mind the amount of space you have. Okay, eventually you'll have dedicated items that you can keep, and you're going to have to keep that in mind for when you're picking up new packages. And this is the game, you know, typical inventory management, Resident Evil briefcase type thing, where we sort of Tetris our pieces around. I have a few snack bars, and I can move those around, you know. Fairly typical inventory management type game. I will say, whoops, I do really enjoy the gameplay of this. It doesn't get too complex. I would enjoy it if I don't know how you would increase the complexity of the baggage system, but I think it would be cool if there were some more strange shapes. There are a few pretty weird shapes. There's some big objects that take up a lot of space. But I think it would be cool if there were a lot more, like, really weird shapes. Like, if there was just a really big U that I could put here. I don't think there's anything like that that I've encountered. Oh, whoops, I made a mistake. It's a good thing we're pretty late in the game where I've upgraded everything, so this isn't too punishing. But earlier in the game, you always have to keep in mind the amount of time it takes you to traverse between screens, because it's going to stop you from being able to deliver all your parcels if you're not paying attention. So I have a package for Copper, who is the postmaster here. I'm going to deliver it to him. I'm going to give him his parcel, and he's going to pay me some money, and then we're going to leave. That's the base gameplay of this game, is you ask people for tasks, they give you a parcel, you adjust your inventory so you can fit it, and then you deliver it to a person. I've already forgotten what places I need to go, but I'm going to just do my normal route. So this is the game. You wander around this island, and you're going to have to deal with a few obstacles in the way. There are little obstacles that are difficult to traverse, like logs. There are also ponds and broken bridges and things, and they all have their own dedicated minigames. So you see there was that minigame there, where we had to balance on the log. If I head over here, we have some rocks I can jump over. I will say there are only like 4 or 5, I think, different obstacles that appear in this game. I would enjoy it if there were a few more, with a few more complex minigames. I think one of my big criticisms, not necessarily criticisms about this game, but one of the things that I wish this game had was I wish there was more of it. Let me say that. It's not really a criticism because I really enjoy this game, but I wish there was more of it. I wish there were more different obstacles. I wish there was a bigger island. I wish there were more people to talk to. I wish there was more story because, like I said, I'm starting to near the end of the story, and it's been pretty intriguing and interesting, but I just wish there were more of it. But yeah, that pretty much the whole game is just traversing this island, going over these obstacles, delivering your packages. You can also occasionally harvest things, like if I get these mushrooms, I can eat these mushrooms to regain stamina. If we look in the top left-hand corner, if you look at my bar, that's a stamina meter that goes down every time I go across one of these obstacles. So if I do this and I go across it, you'll see it's going to drain some of my stamina. And you have to keep that in mind when you're choosing the most optimal path to get from place to place. You can also eat mushrooms to restore stamina, and you can eat these candy bars to restore stamina as well. These cost money. The mushrooms are all free. You can find them laying around anywhere. But I kind of wish there were more things to scavenge. Like I said, it's a really good game. I wish there was more. Just more of everything. So we're going to head over to this guy. I believe he has a task for us. I'm not going to linger. Wait, what did he say he wants? Oh yeah. He wants this packaging. So this is a minor annoying thing. There are some main quests there are story-based deliveries, and then there are these sort of side quest deliveries that are recurring over the course of the game, just to partly to pad out time and partly to allow you to make more money so you can afford upgrades, so it's easier to do some of the story missions. But this is one of the recurring side missions where he wants me to get 2 pieces of packaging from over here. So I'm going to quickly do that. But yeah, as I walk around, I can also run because I got an upgrade for that. It uses stamina, and you have to carefully manage your stamina by trying not to go over too many obstacles, trying not to go back and forth between screens. And we'll grab one of these, and we'll grab one of these, and we'll put it like this. Perfect. But yeah, that's basically the main gameplay loop of the game. There's honestly not much to it. I think the main thing about this game... Oop, gotta lock in for this. Honestly, these mini games aren't too difficult. Oh, actually, I should show you this. So the reason these mini games exist is that if you fail them... There we go. If you fail them, you can actually damage your packages. Like I said, it's very similar to Death Stranding in that this is a game where you're traversing over land and going over obstacles and trying to be very careful, trying not to damage your packaging, and finding the most optimal routes and sort of bringing people together. There we go. We can damage packaging. Like I said, these mini games aren't too hard, actually. So I've only damaged something once. I've never seen what happens if you... Oh, it's broken. Okay. I've never seen what happens if you actually get things too damaged, and I guess it just breaks. I don't know if that's going to affect anything. But yeah, that's what I mean when I say it has Strand-like elements. It's not the same... What happens if I go over here? So this is the thing I eventually unlocked. There we go. I can force him to spawn over on this side. Let's try to deliver our broken packaging. Oh, it turns out he's okay with it. He just pays us less money. That's fine. But yeah, that's what I mean when it's a strand. It has Strand-like elements. It has some very similar core elements. It's not exactly the same game. But yeah, honestly, there's not much to describe, to show you about it, other than the story elements, which I don't want to spoil. But you have this huge island that you can traverse. It's all about finding the optimal path. I guess I will say the intriguing part, so without trying to not to spoil the story, what I think about the story is that I do enjoy the characters. I think they have some nice dialogue. It's nice hearing about the relationships. I kind of wish, again, I wish there was more. Because I really like the dialogue that the characters do have. I like hearing about their relationships. I like hearing about their thoughts about culture and society and the way they've been living their life up until now, and like a little bit of their background. I kind of wish there was a lot more of it. That I think is my main criticism. Wish it was longer. I wish the map was bigger. I wish there was more characters. But the actual story elements themselves. So you are playing as a kid that just got to this island for the first time, and you're sort of learning about this place, learning about its past, learning about things that happen, learning about why it's so technologically regressed from your crazy sci-fi AI drone future that you normally live in. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to put it without spoiling it. This game is kind of about the modern day and how it relates to how technology relates to the way people act and the way we live life, and how that affects things like nature and the connections we have with other people and stuff. And I feel like sometimes I don't want to say it like this because I do agree with what this game is trying to say, but I do think the way that it's written sometimes can come off as a little bit preachy. I think my main thing is that some of the elements in the game feel too much like they're literally describing specific things in the real world instead of trying to get you to come up with a conclusion on your own. Because there are the elements of, oh, technology, it's run rampant. Ooh, you can't do anything without your drones. You gotta go outside and get some fresh air. And then sometimes it's like, what is this? Look at this. Look at this weird purple stuff on the ground. There's something mysterious going on. There's some weird, I don't know, evil magical entity, evil nature entity, some kind of scientific experiment poisoning the land or something that I think is interesting. But I wish it kind of leaned into that sort of aspect more, because some of the other writing in this game, specifically in reference to technology and the way it affects our lives, it's like, I get it. It's just not as interestingly written as I think I would like it to be. I actually don't think I have to go up here. I've already forgotten where I have to go in this game. It's not as interestingly written as I wish it could be. But I think that's probably my biggest criticism of this game, because I'm kind of nitpicking, because I'm really enjoying the vibes of this game. Like I said, I enjoy the characters. The gameplay, it's very simple, but I love these sort of task-based games where you're just sort of going around, down your checklist that's like, oh, do all the requests, deliver all the packages, remember the optimal pathing. I really, really like that, and I wish there was more of it. And that's like a nitpick criticism. I think my biggest criticism is probably with the writing. But other than that, I've been really, really enjoying this game. And it's unfortunate because I kind of feel like this game didn't get that much attention from what I've seen, or at least as much attention as I think it deserves, because it's really, really enjoyable. Yeah, here we have multiple packages. If we were at the beginning of the game, it would be a lot more difficult for me to actually deal with all these packages. But yeah. That's about it for this game. It's a lovely... I keep on using the word cozy. I don't like describing games as cozy games, because I feel like there's a certain... People treat cozy games really weirdly, but it does have a really cozy vibe. Everything about it, I really like. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this game, just because... I don't really want to... I'm trying not to spoil the actual story for people. And B, I think it's cool to sort of, you know, discover the way this game plays and all the pathing and all the characters on your own. I think this is one of those games where I feel like it's more fun if you're just jumping into it. There we go. If you're just sort of jumping into it and seeing everything for yourself. So yeah, this game has been Fading Serenades. It is available for $9.99 on Steam or your regional equivalent. My name has been Toki.MORI. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.